Just as by knowing a nugget of gold, all that is made of gold would have been known. The various ornaments of gold are mere play of words concerning names and forms. Just as by studying a piece of steel, everything made of steel would become known, the differences being merely the play of name and form. So also is this entity, by knowing which everything in this universe becomes known. The apparent differences are but the multifarious names and forms. We can compare Shvetaketu here with a university student getting lots of information about science, arts, literature, etc. but still remaining essentially ignorant of the final truth, final knowledge. The father is telling his son about the unifying principle of all the knowledge his son has acquired. The metaphysical side of unity in diversity, the one substratum lying hidden within every name and form. Shvetaketu accepts his father as his guru now, the second spiritual teacher, and he humbly requests. He said, my first teacher probably did not know about this basic truth, or else he would have definitely taught me about that. So, Reverend Sir, please tell me about it. When the student was so curious to know the truth and so much interested in realizing it, the father tells his son about all-pervading self, or Atman, same as Brahman, as a basic reality of every being. He said, my boy, in the beginning was one being alone, one without a second. The concepts of time, space and causation didn't exist then. And these concepts could never evolve later as well. For the being which is described is without attributes and is changeless, eternal, all-pervading consciousness. In order that the aspirant may get the idea of one's true transcendental nature, empirically, Atman is presumed to have evolved as this universe, the cause giving rise to effect of this multifarious world of name and form. Universe is superimposed on the changeless reality of Atman, so that the individual being, the Jiva, can pierce through his ignorance of believing this world to be absolutely real. Therefore the question, how could changeless being change or transform itself into this multifarious universe? Becomes illogical or empirical at the best. The Brahman, Atman, is changeless from within itself and from outside it, since there is nothing beside it. That is, if we say that something can transform itself as something else, we shall have to admit that that something itself is a transformation of something antecedent, and thus we shall be committed to ad infinitum, regressus and ad infinitum. Therefore, what follows is to be seen or taken as empirical attempt to explain the absolute by projecting this universe on it and subsequently proving the falsity of the projected universe. The being desired to be many, and thus, though various modifications, first the elements of fire, water and earth as a result of various permutations and combinations of these elements, the whole universe of name and form came into existence with that being as the cause and therefore the essence of all these effects. Like the ocean water is filled in many vessels of different names and forms, but in reality the water is one with the ocean. And this is proved when vessels get destroyed and water merges with the ocean. Another example is taken. Like space, apparently divided by containers of various sizes and shapes, becomes one when the forms get destroyed. Similarly, the self appears to be divided in many individual self, but in essence, the jiva is one with the self, as can be proved when it is in samadhi or is in deep sleep or merges with it when the body dies off. Now, it is this subtle entity which all this universe has for its essences. This alone is real. That is the Atman. That thou art, Tattvamasi. So he repeatedly teaches his son, Shvetaketu, that thou art, you Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. The famous Mahavakya of the Chandogya Upanishad. When the jiva merges with that entity or becomes one with it, as in transcendental state, the jiva does not remember its individual identity or recognize having become one with itself. As the rivers lose their individual identity after merging with the ocean, or as one cannot separate honey of one flower from the honey from another flower in a collected form. Now it is this subtle entity which all this universe has for its essence, it alone is real. That is the Atman. Further, the Father explains, as a spider brings forth the web from within itself and is capable of going anywhere on its strands, and as the spider can dissolve the web into its own again, so is this Atman. Or as the sparks from a hot iron rod are essentially one with the rod, so also is the relation between the higher self and the lower self. Now, it is this subtle entity which all this universe has for its essence. It alone is real. That is the Atman, that the Word. Still further, the Father explains, like a small, very tiny seed, which even after breaking it apart doesn't reveal it anything of the tree, but gives rise to a big tree all the same. Likewise, Shvetaketu is the subtlety of the Atman from which are born all the jivas. As Uddalaka continues to explain, O son, put this salt in the water. Shvetaketu does it. Next day, father asks him to bring the pot and asks the son to feel or look for the salt. The son says he can't see or feel the salt. Then father says, taste the water from above. Yes, sir, it is salty. Drink from the middle. Yes, it is salty. Drink from the bottom. Yes, it is salty. Now here, you could not see or feel the salt, but you could taste it all the same. Likewise, by adopting the right method and means of knowledge, one can know the essence of Atman everywhere in this universe. And thou art that Atman, my boy. So like that, it teaches the knowledge of Atman to the son. And the son was overwhelmed with the spiritual instructions. And straight away he went to forest to meditate deeply. And finally he realized the truth. First you must receive the instructions properly. That's very important. Every stage is important. Please note that. Every stage. Starting from getting the Guru, receiving the initiation, practicing spirituality, till you realize the truth. All these stages are very, very important. There is no skip. You can't slip away from one stage to another stage. You have to pass through all these stages very clearly, very intensely. Ishavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena gambhita magrasa kasya siddhanam. The famous Ishavasya Upanishad, the first verse itself explains the most sublime truth. It says, all the Upanishads are very great. Upanishads are the mine of knowledge, mine of spiritual wealth. Do you want to enjoy spiritual wealth? Study Upanishads. This entire universe is pervaded by God for the reason that it is dependent upon primordial nature, which in turn is also pervaded by Him. He alone is thus independent. For this reason, enjoy whatever is given to you by Him and do not seek wealth of others. Do not be greedy, do not be jealous. Don't hate anyone. Bhagavata also says the same way. Atma vasyamidam vishvam yatkincha jagatyan jagat ten taktena bundita magra kasya svidhanam. Bhagavata also says this way. All things of this world, moving and unmoving objects, are pervaded by the Lord. Everything in this world therefore belongs to Him. So offering everything to Him, enjoy what is left with you by Him. Do not covet the wealth of others. Who else? But He is the possessor of all the wealth of this world. This famous Narayan Suktam, famous mantra every day we chant while worshipping the Divine Lord. Every temples they use this famous Purush Sukta and Narayan Sukta. They are chanted everywhere. Whatsoever is in this world known through perception or known through hearing, all that is pervaded by Narayan within and without. He is limitless, imperishable, omniscient, residing in the ocean of the heart, the cause of the happiness of the universe, the supreme goal of all striving, manifesting Himself in the ether of the heart, which is comparable to an inverted bud of the lotus flower. Surrounded by on all sides by nerve currents or arteries, suspends the lotus bud of the heart in an inverted position. It is in a subtle space, a narrow aperture, the Sushumna Nadi they call, and therein is to be found the substratum of all beings. In the middle of the Sushumna Nadi resides the undecaying, all-knowing, omni-faced great fire, which has flames on every side. In the center of that flame abides the tongue of fire as the topmost of all subtle things. It is brilliant like a streak of lightning set in the midst of the blue rain-bearing clouds.